Hey guys, welcome back to another Dare to Think episode. Today I'm here with David Cloutier. David, tell me about your day.
Hey man, I had a really nice day. Thanks for asking.
God damn.
I'm going to work later. I'm working an all-nighter, you know what I mean?
Oh man. Okay, but no, in all seriousness, welcome back guys. Today we're going to be talking about education. I feel like this is going to be a several part series. Today we're talking about education, some problems that come with public school, and whether or not homeschooling could be a possible alternative. So as you can see, I brought my humble stack of books. I've read extensively on education as part of my studies in the education program at Concordia. We're going to delve into some of my personal experiences as a teacher, as a substitute teacher, and my personal experiences as a student as well. And I hope it goes well.
Yeah, well, thank you for talking to us and bringing all this knowledge with you.
Knowledge!
As you can see, my pile of books here is very extensive, much more than yours.
It's the pile of experience. That's what I like to call that.
This touches home because we've been talking about this type of theme for a while. I mean, 2 years now?
Man. Yeah, absolutely. Like, and God knows you and I have talked about a lot of problems in education today. Problems that I think that a lot of people see, a lot of people share the, like mantras like those who can't do teach. I love hearing things like that. It's true. You think I'm a electrician teacher? No, I can do it.
Shit. Man, if I'm going to be a teacher, I guess it's the easy way, dude.
It's the easy way.
It's the easy way.
Absolutely.
Just show these scumbags, how it's done.
Man. So, first and foremost, we're going to elaborate on some common problems that we've noticed in education, or that many people have talked about. Then we're going to talk about education, what we think the general goal for education should be. What should a school do for your kid, other than the superficial response of teach. Then we're going to go on to the benefits, the pros, the cons of public school, and then the pros and cons of homeschooling. And then we'll see if we come up with a definitive answer or if it's going to be
an open-ended
answer. So we always strive for definitive answers here at Dare to Think.
They're definitive temporarily.
Our word is law.
Shit. Just going to add pages to the Bible after this. No, but what's nice, though, about these type of conversations is, well, it's open-ended. They're opinion pieces.
Yeah.
And, we're not experts. But what's fun is we've all been through the schooling.
Absolutely.
The school system.
Absolutely. So from what I've read, from personal experience and just general opinion, my mom's a teacher. So this has been a subject that's struck close to home.
Yeah.
Like ever since I could remember. I used to help her in her classes, and I used to help her. I think I was 10 years old when she first let me help some students in high school.
You're just correcting her tests and her assignments.
While they were taking the assignment, I was just helping them out, and I was just like translating.
Well, you were going to school with them?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I went in.
That's really cool.
Class, yeah. Okay. So number one, first and foremost, education should be fun. I think that education should be a comfortable experience, a comfortable and positive experience. It should provide you with as many positive experiences as possible. So let's say not making it all about the course content, not making it all about cramming, and making it a little bit more about the experience, making it a little bit more about the play.
What about in saying that, do you mean removing maybe deadlines?
Well, removing the stress, absolutely. I think deadlines could provide a positive stress, right? They encourage you to work, obviously.
Yeah,
like
to
there needs to be
for the test. And
exactly.
the exam.
There needs to be some motivation to do the thing in the first place, other than because that's what good boys and girls do, right? It's got to be, like there needs to be rules.
Yeah, or you'll just be on your phone. I mean, if you don't put that deadline and you don't feel stressed, you're just not going to do it.
As long as teachers are putting reasonable deadlines, right?
Yeah.
If you're telling a student, if you're telling every student that it's due next week, but you know that you have one student, let's say, who goes home and who doesn't have a computer or doesn't have time, then you need to be able to differentiate that student from the rest. And there comes another problem with education, right? There is time, right? You have so many stories of like one teacher teaching classes of like 35 to 40 students in high school and elementary school, and it's just like it's unacceptable. It's not reasonable. You can't have 45 students. Right, 45 students below the age of 25 so here's a rule. Generally, and I've learned this in educational psychology.
Okay.
Generally, the rule is your age multiplied by 2. That's how many minutes you can pay attention.
Okay, so your attention span is times 2.
Exactly. So it's about times 2. So I'm 22.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be able to pay attention for 44 minutes.
And you said supposed.
Quick maths. Supposed. Yeah, because it varies, right?
Okay.
People with learning disorders, they can't pay attention obviously as much as or more. Let's say you have something like some students who are on the autism spectrum. Sometimes they can pay attention to something and dedicate hours to the same thing.
Yeah.
Like autistic students are some of the smartest and best students out there. I love teaching the autistic.
You personally taught one?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, at my school, we had groups, right?
Okay.
So we had groups they weren't just autism.
Yeah.
They weren't just autistic. They were just learning disorders.
Okay.
So there were some with learning disorders. So groups with learning disorders. So those groups, you need to provide a lot more care, a lot more attention, and often they come with really really bad behavior disorders.
And I'm curious, those classes in particular, how many students are in those classes?
Around 10 less.
Now, this brings me back to the first, to the original topic, which point that you made was comfort.
Yeah.
Right? And how was your experience as a teacher? And how did you see that the students experienced the situation when there were less kids involved?
So number one, not only are there less kids, there's also a what we call a TAS who's in your class with you.
Okay.
So since these kids, like you can have schizophrenic kids, you could have kids with borderline personality disorder. These kids often lash out, and sometimes they get violent. So you need to have 2 people in the class, 2 adults in the classroom to be able to mediate the kids.
Yeah, because you won't be able to focus on the other students if you have to mediate that.
Exactly. Even if it's a kid who's like engaging in non-violent behavior and just screaming or just having a tantrum, having that person to be able to bring them out in the hallway, that way you can teach your class, you can focus on the rest of the students, is phenomenal. And I think that like in the ideal world, that's every classroom. Yeah. Right? Every classroom has another adult who's there for the 90-10% rule. You have 10% of all the students who take up 90% of the attention. Yeah. Ideally, you have that one adult in the room who's taking those students out and not punishing them. These aren't bad kids. These are kids with habits. These are kids who are bored. These are kids with learning challenges, right? These are kids who, I don't know, just want to be funny, right? I remember being the class clown. I wanted to be funny. And, sometimes teachers didn't take it well, right? Yeah. And it's all, what we need to realize is it's all a learning, it's all a process, right? So the ideal two adults in the classroom. Is it realistic? Absolutely not.
No.
We don't even have enough teachers, let alone.
There you go.
Exactly.
That's it. It wouldn't make sense.
Exactly. So, so ideally, we come up with a solution towards teaching. With I think higher pay has shown that you're not going to get more teachers with higher pay. Improving conditions, however, that has yet to be yet to be attempted.
Yeah, that's it.
Exactly.
Right now, you don't see that progress anywhere.
Exactly.
Oh well,
exactly.
some places they added air conditioning. Nice. What?
Exactly. So so that leads us to So a lot of teachers think that those fewer students in the classes, they think that it's a question of the disorder. They think that no, the autistic kids are just more friendly. They're just nicer. We're a family. And I would add the argument that could be, but the fact that there's just fewer of them and you can get to know them and you can get to know them on a personal level and they can get to know you on a personal level. You get to open up. And then that makes education so much more than about textbooks and about cramming material, and it makes it about getting to know people. It makes it about communication. It makes it about learning how to be social. And those are skills that are under taught. Absolutely.
So right now we talked about you want your students to have a comfortable environment to learn in, also your teachers. I mean, it has to be comfortable for your teacher too. It's not just the student.
Well, comfortable students make comfortable teachers.
That's
period.
Couldn't say it better.
Because a teacher's job, and I love this, a teacher's job is, I think, the most important job in the world. And it's completely changed today.
Yeah.
A teacher's job is to take care of kids. That's it. A teacher's job is to make sure that the kids that she's having or he is having an effect on those kids, making sure that they come out of school being active citizens. That's the quote that my school likes to say. Active citizens is the word that they say that education is for. I disagree.
Okay.
I think that the point isn't to be an active citizen, because you could be a negative active citizen.
Yep.
You can negatively impact your society, right? You can
Hitler was pretty active.
Yeah, Hitler was an active citizen, right? And we know how that turned out. But like, you can be a crook, you can be like, there's just no end. The idea is that you need to learn how to be a good person too, right? So ideally you learn that from your parents as well, but ideally it works together. That leads us to problem number 3, right? Which is parents, parents not having the time to get involved in school.
Okay.
Right? Whether that be something as minute as helping their kid out with homework, or something as large as participating in a bake sale, right? A school's most, how do I say this? A school's strongest friend or ally are the parents, right? If you have unhappy parents, you have unhappy teachers, unhappy students.
Well, education starts at home.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You send your kids off to school at 5 or 6 years old. I mean, you as a parent, you already started education.
Yeah.
It's not a question of giving them off to teachers and then it's the teacher's job to educate the kids. No, it's...
How many times I've heard a parent tell me, "Il est mon problème à la maison, il vote à l'école."
Yeah, so he's my problem at home and he's your problem in school.
Exactly.
Take care of him. Make sure he becomes a good citizen.
Which kind of operates on that premise that Reclaiming Our Students talks about. The beginning of the book is talking about how students are negatively perceived today, how they've got X, Y, and Z problems, how they're negative, they don't pay attention, they can't focus.
Yeah.
You name it, right? We always hear, this generation, all they do is stay on their phones, blah, blah, blah,
Shit, yeah, but the fucking parents do that too, man.
Exactly.
Like, man.
Because then
don't lie to yourself.
Exactly, then the parents get home, and then they ignore their kids on their phones all night, or on the TV all night, right? It doesn't make sense.
There you go. We think education should be a comfortable thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
It should be a social thing.
Yeah.
With self-expression.
Yeah.
It should be personal.
Exactly.
Your teacher, yes, needs a certain degree of authority, and like it shouldn't be your pal.
Yeah, well,
like your teacher should be your pal.
that comes with personalization, right?
Yeah.
Because you're just being nice. In the end, human beings respond really well to niceness,
Yes.
to good people.
Absolutely.
And you don't have the chance to prove to somebody that you're a good person if you can't answer their hand being raised because there's 10 other people with their hands raised.
Yeah.
Right? And then you didn't know, but you've been neglecting one person your entire school year. Right? And then they have a negative opinion of you. You can't be a good person towards them, right? So there's little problems like that, right? Like too many students in the class, not enough personalization. Like we were talking about, education should it should prepare you for the society that you're going to live in.
Absolutely.
Right? So like we were just talking about, like in terms of phones and stuff, an element of digitality should be implemented in classrooms.
Absolutely.
That's why we have smart boards now. Now in primary schools, you have kids with cell phones, right?
Yes.
So, like who are bringing them to school. So that's becoming a growing
and the
problem.
school board is preventing the schools from fighting against it.
Yeah, exactly, because it's still stealing if a teacher takes the phone away from them.
Yep.
So it's still an actionable offense. So all that to say, you're gonna want your education system to prepare the students. That's what democracy in education says. Is you're gonna want to prepare. It's gonna want to prepare your students for the world that they're gonna live in.
Yeah.
So the least you can do is show them what's in it, right? Get them involved, bring them on trips. And that's not always an option for teachers, not always an option for the school, in terms of budgeting. But you have a smart board in your class if you're in a lucky school. And if not, you probably have access to internet. There's so many options out there. And like for example, one of my classes, I was teaching English. And I brought them to McDonald's to order food in English. Obviously, we live in Quebec, so that was a little bit problematic because I had to ask for somebody who spoke English.
Well, let's keep it there right now. Right now, you said something really nice, which is to bring your students out of the school environment, and into the real world, right?
Where they can reward their behavior, i.e., speaking English, with a snack. So if I speak English, I'll get McDonald's. Pretty fair.
Yeah.
Right.
Good deal.
So absolutely, the education system should prepare you for the society you're going to live in. And we happen to live in a democratic one. We happen to live in a social capitalist society.
Yep.
So we should be teaching a little bit more about the politics that kids are going to be going into without getting them deeply involved in it. Obviously, I came out of school knowing nothing about politics, knowing nothing about voting, knowing nothing about the importance of my vote. We've come up with like a pretty solid plan, I guess. Right? What's the difference between you and I right now and teaching? Right? As if this were our classroom. And you and I are the teachers, right?
Absolutely.
There's no difference, right? And if we plan to have people on our podcast, what's stopping teachers from bringing people to their classrooms to give presentations, right? Bringing the society into the classroom to show kids where they are going to live, what we are going to release you into, and what's expected of you, right? Only once a year do schools come to classes and approach them and say, hey, these are the programs that we're going to provide. These are the programs that we offer at this university and that university and this university and that university. When's the last time you saw a trade come in? I saw the military. That was it.
You know what? Never.
We were approached by several schools, several representatives.
They would set up some kiosks.
Exactly. Several representatives of schools. And they would talk about the programs that they offer in their schools.
Yeah.
And so like I was approached by Concordia, I was approached by McGill University at when I was at Vanier.
Yeah.
And I perused and I figured out that Concordia had a really nice education program.
They do. Stunning.
Went right into it. And then I taught I figured out some of the problems. I suppose I should divulge why I'm out of teaching. I didn't give up teaching. I just realized that there was a shift in problems that I wanted to address in reality. So I realized that I wanted to get to know people on a one-to-one individual level, and I wanted to be able to help them out with problems. So, which you can't do as a teacher, right? Because like we keep on discussing, sometimes you have 40 students, sometimes you have 35 students, and it's just you can't attain that personalization that you can, let's say, as a therapist one-on-one. So that's why I decided to change into the psychology program, where I hope to help people one-on-one. I hope to get to know people, and I hope I get to know, I get to make them know who they are.
Yeah.
I think that's the premise of education in general, of therapy in general, is to get you to realize that you're not a monster, you're not a freak, you're not crazy, you're not stupid. You're a human being with problems.
You're sure as heck not the first person
Absolutely.
to have those problems.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so it's really about getting people to be comfortable being themselves. And then once you know who you are, once you're comfortable knowing who you are and in your own skin, then then your potential is limitless.
Yeah.
You have access to everything and anything. The world is at your fingertips. And that knowledge, that idea is what's spurring my education in the psychology program right now.
Yeah, well, you know what? I think it's an honorable thing to do, and it's not about the money, you know. Like the way you're putting it,
it really isn't.
It isn't. It's about the impact.
I was getting paid phenomenally as a teacher. Phenomenally.
Yeah. What are they doing now? I mean, they're removing psychologists. They're removing budget for psychology in schools as a tidal wave of mental illnesses or just deficiencies and anxiety and stress, you know, is coming into the schools and over flooding it.
Yeah.
And now here you are removing a bunch of psychologists, a bunch of specialized educators.
Yeah.
And that's something that schools should provide.
Yeah.
In amplitude.
Absolutely. And this isn't the first time that politics, finances, budgeting, money, or just ideas have trumped good teaching, right? Like I was on the news recently on CTV News, and we were talking about the new bill in Quebec that would have had negative effects on the languages program at Vanier College.
Yeah.
And so I was talking I wasn't talking against the bill per se. Yeah. I was talking against the negative effects that it had.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that it's important that we have that dialogue. It's not a black and white, you're wrong, I'm right statement. There's always compromise to be made.
Yep.
And as long as our government is open to compromise and our teachers are open to compromise, then I think we're going to have a really healthy society.
Yep.
But there needs to be compromise. As of now, we've talked about some negative. We've talked about the negatives, right? We've talked about the problems in education.
Well, we've talked
that there are some, and that there's a discussion worth having.
Well, we've talked about what we want from schools.
Yeah.
And in part, there are exceptions. Some schools have it, some schools don't, for different aspects of what we just spoke about. Yeah. But in general, what we would want from every schooling system, either homeschool, either public school, either private school.
Yeah.
Well, that's what you would want.
Exactly.
All the things that we've just spoken about.
And if we have any viewers who would like to divulge their opinions on what they think students should get out of school.
And if you disagree with anything we've spoken about.
Let us know. We like the fight. But let us know any opinions, any additions that you would have towards our ideas on what education should bring to students, for sure.
So add it with homeschooling.
Yeah, added with homeschooling. Okay, so number one, why do we think that homeschooling could be an alternative, right? What are some benefits of homeschooling?
Well, look, first of all, generally, when you're homeschooled, right, it's a parental figure that's giving you all the knowledge that you need to go out into the world and just be a better citizen,
So
be a better person too.
So we've got comfort.
Yeah, well, first of all, well, man, you're in your freaking house.
Exactly.
Is there any other place more comfortable?
Exactly.
Like, obviously, look, there are the exceptions. If you've got bad parents, I mean, maybe a school is the more comfortable place.
Absolutely.
Which is why schools should never disappear, like ever. Because for some people, it's their escape.
Yeah.
They need it.
Yeah.
And man, are they good where they are.
Absolutely.
But when you're at home and you got loving parents, or at least semi-loving parents, generally it's where you'll be comfortable, where you'll be able to be more motivated at the task at hand. But also, it is a counterpart to that, which is, well, you're also very close to distractions.
Yes.
Because a big thing about schools, right, is that all the classes are made a certain way for you not to be distracted.
Right.
You're focused. All the seats are lined up towards a teacher. You're generally never staring outside a window. When you're at home, well, not everything is always things that are, like, I mean, you got the TVs right next to you.
Exactly.
You got your phone on the table,
Yeah.
So it's up to the parents to really make you focused.
Yeah.
At the best of their capabilities, of course.
Exactly.
But in overall comfort,
Yeah.
it's a lot less stress on deadlines. The stress on social acceptability too.
Right.
It isn't as much there. The populars, the unpopulars. Are you awkward? Are you a geek?
Exactly.
Not everything disappears when you're at home, because your mom's gonna love you, or your dad's gonna love you, no matter how you are.
That's it.
And if sometimes it's not your parents too. Sometimes you get private teachers. They come to your place and they help. I had that during a part of my treatments.
Right.
I had a homeschooling teacher, and you know what? For the most part, they're just there as moral support.
Yeah.
And man, they're giving you stuff to do, and it's take your time. But the most important thing is that you understand it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Which you don't have in school, because in school the teacher has a deadline to grade your papers.
Yeah, and you have an hour and 15 minutes with them every day.
That's it.
That's all.
And so
you come in during lunch hours if you want to talk. Boom.
So a beautiful thing about homeschooling, though, is if you're having a hard time in science and it's easy in math.
Yeah.
Well, look, we'll just do more science today.
Yeah. That's it.
Or you know what? This is controversial. Or less science today. And less math. And you know what? Let's take a day off and let's go out. Let's go take a hike.
Absolutely.
And take pictures of new species of plants and new birds, and let's learn what their names are. And then I am branching out right now, but anyways.
Yeah. But I fundamentally agree with you. I have yet to read a piece of literature that does not say that schools should offer a balance between body and mind. Yeah. That we shouldn't prioritize the intellectual STEM fields over just physical health. That we need both in order to achieve balance in life, right? You need to be a healthy human being in order to learn. And in order to learn, you need to be a healthy human being. Sorry. In order to be a healthy human being, you need to learn.
Yes.
Right? So it's interchangeable. So you're gonna want to increase the amount of art classes, the amount of dance classes, the amount of
Yeah, well, that's taking you back to the public schools.
Yes,
we probably just forgot to mention it, but
yeah, sorry. Definitely for bringing up public schools, but that's a tremendous pro for private schools, is the ability to do whatever, whenever, homeschooling.
Yeah.
Sorry. The ability to do whatever, whenever, as long as the imagination and the budget allows, right?
Yes.
Go for a hike, go rock climbing, go dance classes, go horseback riding, right? You can do anything you want with your kid and then give them that physical education grade. Do whatever you want with your kid and then give them that art or dance grade.
Yeah.
Give them anything and then give them that drama grade. Whatever. As long as the imagination can think it, you can do it. Right?
Thing is, I'm a really strong advocate for homeschooling,
right?
And thing I like about homeschooling is, because first of all, what we said before, what we want from school and the problems, some of the problems that are in school,
Right.
and what we want from them. We didn't mention being a know-it-all. We didn't mention that we want our students to be know-it-alls.
Right.
We don't expect all the kids to be good at Pythagoras.
Right.
You know, we don't expect them to be good at art. Hell, man, I'm the worst. I'm a worst with a pencil and in drawing and sculpture and like making a mug. Have you seen my mugs? They're bad.
Yeah.
But what I mean though is that's not an expectation we have as a society. For
Right.
people like obviously we congratulate you when you're a know-it-all and when you're good in math and when you're good in the STEM fields, and well, you know what, also like less and less, but we do congratulate you if you're a great artist.
Exactly.
But thing is, I value experience way more than knowledge, because well, experience gives you knowledge, just
Right.
not the academic type.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well,
So-
well, today we focus on brute knowledge. We focus on regurgitated knowledge.
Yes.
We focus on the banks of information that are just stored in your long-term memory and that dwindle over years of not being used.
Yeah.
What we need to start doing is focusing more on process, less on product. All right? How do you learn, right?
Exactly.
Like, it's not a question of what you've learned. It's a question of how you've learned it. It's a question of whether or not... It's a question of, do you know how to learn in the first place, right?
Yes.
So let's stop focusing on your test grade. Let's start focusing on the fact that you're studying, the fact that you're involved, the fact that you're trying in the first place. That should be valued above all else.
Yes.
Because the student who, like we were talking about before, the student who can't speak French versus the completely bilingual student, right? Completely bilingual student's getting 100%.
Yes, and the other one, the one who's still learning the language,
Failing.
yeah, you know, fuck that guy.
But fuck that guy. But he's working 10 times harder.
Yes,
He's trying 10 times more.
and there's no value to that in our system currently.
Exactly. Teachers see the hard work, but sometimes the hard work comes with a bad attitude, and then the teachers don't want to give that good grade. You know, sometimes the hard work comes with, well, I failed again. Fuck.
Yep.
And no matter how hard I try, I keep on failing. And then that's just not motivating. And then you lash out, you express all sorts of symptoms in class.
System let you down.
The system let you down.
Yeah.
And that wasn't on you. You're not a bad kid, right? I don't think that there is such a thing as bad kids, just bad environments, bad situations. You ask a kid what the problem is. You don't need to dig very far to find a problem. You don't need to dig very far to find the root of their problems.
Yeah.
Generally, it's problems at home. You know, sometimes social problems. Don't believe in parent blaming either, right? Parent blaming is just it's insensitive and it's wrong. It's not anybody's fault. It's a situation. The situation is the problem.
Yes.
How do we get out of the situation? How do we make a situation where parents can start paying more attention to their kids, quality time with their kids, and investing in their education? That's it. Mm-hmm. If every parent were like that, there would be no problems at school. Period.
Absolutely.
Right? We would just have...
Well, man, with the exceptions of...
Well, we would just have systemic problems that we have as well, but topic for another podcast. So look, homeschooling, we talked about comfort, differentiation in time. So we talked about being able to personalize. Obviously, there's no more personal than you can get than being taught by your mom.
For sure. But if we're going to play devil's advocate, though, wouldn't you want your kid to be socializing with people their age too?
Well, here's the cons. So cons, number one, resources, right? Access to books, access to a broad, everything and anything that comes with being at school, right?
Yeah.
Money. Your parents have to spend money. Period.
Well, obviously. Well, one parent it depends. If obviously you're either spending to hire someone.
Yeah.
Or you're not working.
Exactly.
in itself is kind of you're saving, but not really.
Exactly. So you need to, so that's it. Like, unless this is your new full-time job and money isn't a question, money isn't an issue, homeschooling is going to be really good for your kids. Obviously, really good for your kids. Which leads to culture. Not culture, sorry. Cultural diversity, right?
Yeah.
You want you want your kids to be surrounded by people. You want your kids
Absolutely.
to get to know.
Yes.
So, and that's the biggest con that I could come up with homeschooling is, well, socialization, right? You need to socialize your kid, period. If you can do that with money, by bringing them out to places, by getting them involved, by getting them to talk to people, fantastic.
You know what you need? You need a car, you need gas,
Yeah.
and you need to go to a place where there's people.
Yeah.
That doesn't cost a cent.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't, because you can go out to, okay, today we're going to learn about, if you want to do science, you could go to a museum. If you want to do history, go to a museum. If you want to learn about trades, right? You go to a company somewhere. You go to a construction site. You just try to like hail down one construction worker for 2 seconds and just, hey, tell me what you're doing.
You.
Yeah.
Yes, tvur.
Tabarnak.
It's good.
So that's it.
Yeah.
So I think there's a pretty solid case for homeschooling. Obviously, I think what we've come up with is it depends on your situation. Just as schools, socioeconomics. You good?
I'm gonna sneeze. We're gonna have to cut this one out.
So just as we were talking about with schools, socioeconomic situation plays a heavy role on whether or not you're going to provide good schooling, right? So, do you have the money for it? Do you live, not just the money, the time, right? Are you well enough for one parent to stay back and spend all of their time with a kid teaching their kid?
Yeah.
If so, phenomenal. If not, that's okay too.
So obviously the biggest negative point, to homeschooling would be the lack of social inclusion.
Yeah, absolutely. Not having that connection with anybody, with peers.
Yeah.
So like and cultures as well. That's a big downside, is you're not getting to know how to interact with different people, right?
For sure.
You don't interact the same with adults versus with kids. You don't Quebec. You don't interact the same with English kids versus French kids.
No,
right?
At all.
Like completely different culture.
Huge cultural difference.
Absolutely. And you don't interact the same with different religions, right? Like it's just there are different ways of speaking, different methods of showing respect, and that's something that you learn with communication and with socialization. Something that you definitely don't get from homeschooling, but is the biggest pro, I'd say, for public schooling.
Yes.
So now I think we can go on to public schools for pros.
Shit.
Which I would say, obviously, social, big pro.
Go ahead.
Diversity.
Yes.
Diversity, and so like you're not just seeing your mom. You're not just seeing the culture that you're brought up in, right? You're seeing like hundreds of cultures sometimes in the same school.
Uh-huh.
And it gets you prepared for society, right? That if we're talking about the pro of education, is it gets you ready for the society that you're going to live in.
Yes.
Yeah.
But in itself, the school system right now is being overloaded.
Yes.
It's overwhelmed right now.
Yeah.
And if we want a quick fix, like if we were to, okay, what's the more what's a foreseeable solution in a near future,
right?
To solve all the problems that we've enumerated before, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you find that, it's money for resources.
Yeah.
And then it's, more classrooms.
Yeah.
to lower the amount of students in one classroom.
Exactly.
And
more
then
money for more teachers.
we want people to have sex, have children, so that one day they become teachers. So now we have enough teachers.
Yeah. Quebec
Right.
seems to be lacking on that front.
Yes, I think it's everywhere.
Oh,
I am convinced.
Having less than 2 children.
I mean,
mainstream
look,
now.
even in nursing, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
So the thing about homeschooling is, if you're really, really, really preoccupied by the quality of education,
Right.
and you don't you don't take socializing, social inclusion
Right.
in consideration,
Right.
well, I think homeschooling solves most of the issues that we've enumerated in public schools. And so that brings to the question where, well, would we, if we could, right? If we had the money, if we had the resources, and we had to choose between homeschooling
Yeah.
and public schools,
Yeah.
would just the fact that you're being exposed to new cultures, or that you get to have healthy competitions with kids your age, you know, build friendships with kids your age, and obviously you can build friendships with your neighbor too. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't have to be at school. It's the parents' job to allow you to socialize elsewhere where you can.
Yeah.
I mean, you have cousins, and you have maybe a brother, and you maybe have a sister, and you have neighbors, and you've got a park that you can go to meet people. Like, it's not like socializing doesn't exist anymore.
No.
And so if you leave it up to just the aspect of the public, you know, like in public schools, well, then if you really care for your child's education, and you can, well, I don't see why you wouldn't go into homeschooling.
Yeah. I would opt. In the ideal world, absolutely. I would actually no. In the ideal world,
I would fix schools. I would fix schools.
Exactly.
Yes.
The homeschooling begins like from birth, right? Like, you're teaching your kids all of the essential basics.
Exactly.
Like, you have one parent who's with the kid all the time and teaching the kid right from the get-go.
Yeah.
All the way up until like elementary school, and then boom, you make a transition towards society. Okay, now you experiment with society away from family, right? That's the ideal, through and through. Do I think that we can get there? Absolutely. I think that we just need to start seeing a lack of quality time with your kids as a problem, and as a solution towards things like, you know, like, well, just social behavioral disorders, right? That quality time that you'll spend is going to make all the difference for the rest of that kid's life. In addition, I think that public schools, I think there's the education that comes with learning in a social environment. I feel like that supersedes the education that you would get in an at-home environment. And the reason I think that is because there's more effort that goes into it. You're in a less comfortable environment, you're not surrounded by family, and you're learning to deal with stress at the same time. I think that has positive effects because you're confronted by a little bit of stress. The stress of conforming to social norms, stress of attaining more strict deadlines, the stress of getting good grades on tests, right? Not being able to retake tests again. So I think that there are definitely benefits to both. I think we're reaching a point where it depends is going to be the answer on this.
Yes.
Is homeschooling better? No. Is public school better? No. Are both of them good? Absolutely. Do both of them have problems? You betcha. And we need to be working on those problems and coming up with practical solutions. I think one of the best solutions towards public schools is absolutely trying to be as personal as you can with your students. I think that makes all the difference. Like I was talking about with my autistic students at the beginning.
Exactly.
As personal as you possibly can be. If the school system could cut down on classes and make them and have less students per class, that would be phenomenal. Having more staff, that would be phenomenal.
Including more play.
Absolutely. And that's part of what makes homeschooling such an attribute, is you also incorporate the play because you're with family, right? And ultimately that's what you want, is you want life to be fun, and you want things to be less about work and more about play. Because if you went to work and you felt like you were playing, you'd be getting paid to play.
Honestly, and that's always what we say, right? You want to do something you love.
Exactly.
So it doesn't feel like a job anymore.
That's it. So I think that's about it. Would you like to discuss something else?
Dang, have we really? I feel like this is always our this is how all our conversations end.
The tip of the iceberg, and we need to stop the video here. How long have we been going on for, producer Nick? An hour and 10 minutes. So I think we will let you guys go on this one. As we said at the beginning of this podcast, this is definitely going to be a part series. So look out for more education videos in the near future, or distant future, because this is definitely a heavy load. So let us know what you want us to touch on next. We discussed homeschooling today. Next time we could talk about more in depth about public schools. We could talk about private schools. We could
let us know.
Yeah, let us know.
And thank you for joining us. Really, it's been a pleasure. We love doing this, and this feels like any other Thursday for us.
Absolutely, absolutely. And remember, if you don't like, comment, and subscribe, you will not survive. Or else. Thank you for joining Dare to Think. We really appreciate you having here. Cue the outro.
Bye.